संसार में और भी इंसान को एक भेजिए फिर और एक बोला
Good afternoon, Arujuna and Jay Pereira. Let's just wait for the others.
Good afternoon,
Good
Maria.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let's just wait for the others. In the meantime, I'd like you to get your notebook. Like you don't have to have a new set of notebook, but just one that you're currently using. And then, if possible, a ruler and of course your ball pen. Hi, good afternoon, Shifan.
It's 15 hours.
Right, it's already 3 o'clock. Okay. Right. Okay. So my name is Maria, and today we'll be together for 2 hours, and I will be sharing with you some techniques or strategies on how you can set your goals properly for 2025 and also set an action plan. Something that I've been using for the last 2 years, and I found it effective. So I will be sharing it with you. By the way, this is not originally mine. So I also learned this through trial and error. And I also learned it from the book of James Clear called Atomic Habits. If you're familiar with that, have a go and read. And I also learned this from different coaches and mentors that I've worked with. So let's get down right to it. First step, I want you to write down five. Okay, let's limit it to 5 outcomes that you'd like to have by the end of 2025. Okay, outcomes. Like what's the result? How do you picture your 2025 to end like in December 2025? Okay, so I'll give you like 5 minutes in any order, like according to how it comes to your mind. I don't want you to overthink this part. So write down the 5 outcomes that you'd like to have by the end of next year. It doesn't have to be in just one area. It can be in multiple areas, but let's keep it to 5. Okay. Right. So get your notebook, write down your 5 outcomes. Time now is 3:02. So we'll continue by 3:07. So 5 outcomes that you'd like to have by the end of 2025. Good afternoon, Afros, Fatima. Welcome to the workshop. So we've started a little bit. Actually, we started on time. So I want you to bring out your notebook and write down the 5 outcomes that you'd like to have by the end of 2025. So what are the results that you'd like to be able to enjoy? How do you picture your 2025, especially the end? I want you to write that down on your notebook. In any order, like there's no particular order as such. Whatever comes to your mind first, write it down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 outcomes. All right. So now that you have written your 5 outcomes, okay, I want you to choose among those 5, the one wherein if you prioritize, it will move the other goals. So we call this outcome the needle mover. Okay. So if you're able to achieve this outcome, have this outcome, prioritize this outcome that you'd like to have, all the rest of the other 4 will move forward. Now, what is that? Okay, I want you to select that one. Just put a tick mark beside it. For example, in my case, the 5 outcomes that I'd like to have, that I want to be able to experience or enjoy by 2025 is, first, I want to be able to have a vacation in Hong Kong, Macau by December 2025. That is one of my outcomes. Second, I want to have a stronger mindset. I want to be mentally more tougher, much more tougher in terms of my mental aspect. 3, I want to reach my target weight, which is 53 kilos by the end of 2025. And then 4, I want to grow my community. I want to grow my brand. I want to meet more people. And then 5, I want to grow my my workshops, like my snippets of wonders. Okay, so that's one of my business. Okay, one of my businesses. So 5. Now, among those 5 outcomes, okay, I want that I will be able to enjoy all these 5. My first and priority, the needle mover for me, the one that will move the other outcomes for me, would be to have the proper weight, which is 53 kilos. Because if I am physically okay, if my weight is okay, I will be able to do more. I'll be more productive, more efficient. And if that happens, it will affect my mindset. And then when my mindset is okay, is fine, then I will be able to grow my website, my community, my branding, and sustain my business all throughout the year, next year. So what is your needle mover? What is that one outcome that if you are able to prioritize, the other will just naturally move? We are not setting SMART goals yet. Okay, I know probably you have come across SMART goals. For me, I don't look at the goals anymore, but I focus on the outcomes that I'd like to have, and then choose the outcome that I'd like to have first and foremost, like really prioritize it. Okay, this is what we call the needle mover. What is your needle mover out of those 5? Okay, just number it 1, and then the rest 2, 3, 4, 5 accordingly. If you have any questions or clarifications, let me know. So done? Okay, so first thing that we plotted out are the 5 outcomes. Next is choose your needle mover. Okay, now you will number the others 2, 3, 4, 5 according to these 3 criteria. So number 1, in terms of alignment. Okay, which among the 2, 3, 4, 5, make sure that they're aligned to the season of your life that you are in. Okay. Most people, even I, made this mistake before. I'll try to write down all the goals that I'd like to do. Sometimes it would be like 13, 14, 15. And I think about them in the month of January. And because I'm excited, because of the year, the goals themselves become a bottleneck because there's just too much, 12. And then I just write it down. Some I'm able to achieve, some I'm not able to achieve at all. I'm not able to start. Because if you squeeze in everything in the month of January because you're high, your energy is high, the tendency is that you will not be able to move forward. Okay? And always think that maybe some of the outcomes that you'd like to have, they're not for 2025. Let's face it, let's be realistic. Probably that is more aligned for 2026 or maybe 2027. It depends on the season of your life. So let's say I want to start, let's say I'd like to have a business by the end of 2025. But you're also taking care of your parents, for example. Now, it is good to aspire, to dream big, to have big goals. But you also need to check, is this aligned in the season of my life now? So that you don't feel frustrated. There are seasons that would be a perfect match for the outcome that you'd like to have. Let's face it, we can't really do everything in 1 year, right? But the targets that we set in the beginning of the year, we will be able to achieve them or have or experience, enjoy them at the end of the year if they're within the season, if it's aligned. Okay, so that's one. Another factor to consider is the impact. So when you say impact, are you able to shoot 2 to 3 or 4 birds in one stone? So for example, with the outcome of having a weight of 53 kilos from 56 kilos, for example, I also at the same time formed the habit of walking. I want to be able to enjoy walking, like at least have 3,000, 4,000 steps per day. So it's not just the kilos or the weight that I'm after. I'm also trying to build the habit because I know one day I'll grow older. It's the only exercise maybe that I will be able to do, right? So practically, realistically. So when it comes to impact, among those outcomes that you've listed down, number it according to the season of your life. maybe something can go later, one of it can go later, one can go earlier, and then you will have more focus. I only ask you 5 outcomes because 5 outcomes would be a lot more doable than, let's say, 12 or 13. This is the first mistake. Sometimes it's not really not being able to achieve. We can. But because there's just too many to handle, you won't know your focus. And if you're not focused, your energy will be scattered, obviously. So among those 5 outcomes, select the needle mover and then choose the ones. Which one will be your number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5? So again, look at the alignment, and then second, look at the impact that you're trying to create. Okay. Good afternoon, Shanaz.
Good afternoon.
We started at 3 o'clock, so maybe this is just for those who have just joined. The first thing that I want you to do is to list down the 5 outcomes that you'd like to have by the end of 2025. Outcomes, like how do you picture your 2025 to look like? So the strategy here, the style here is we move backwards. So first, what's the outcome that I want? And then we'll move backwards. The second step, once you've done that, is to choose your needle mover. It's the outcome that if you prioritize it, it will naturally move the other outcomes for you. And then the third is number the rest of the other outcomes, 2, 3, 4, 5, according to alignment and the impact. So when we say alignment, look at your values. Okay, when you look at your values, you will be able to say no. Okay, most of us suffer in achieving our goals because we are working for the goals of others. Now, if your goals or your outcomes are not aligned to who you are, it will be very difficult to set those boundaries, those parameters, and you won't be able to prioritize your own. So, for example, for me, 53 kilos is the outcome that I'd like to have. Now, this is based on the value that I love myself. I care for myself, and I want to be able to travel in my old age. Even it doesn't have to be international. I want to be mobile. I want to be able to move. Now, I will only be able to do that if I'm physically strong. I don't need big muscles, but I want my bones and my body to be active at least. So 53 kilos is not my ideal weight. My ideal weight is 48, but I don't want to be so small. I don't want to go down that size. So 53 is fine with me. Now, that is aligned to my values of loving myself and caring for myself. So if there is a good friend, close friend to me, who's going to invite me to an activity that will help me with that, I will say yes. I will prioritize that. Why? Because it's my needle mover. But let's say, let's watch, for example, 3 movies the entire day, order pizza. Maybe I will do it once, but not every week because that's not my needle mover. For the sake of friendship and bonding and having a good connection, yes, I will do. But it's not going to be every week. Why? Because it's not part of my value system anymore. It's not in my needle mover. And therefore, I can tell my friend, I'm sorry, I have some goals, outcome that I'd like to be able to experience at the end of the year. I'm sorry. So it will be easier for you to say no and put your boundaries. Why? Because you know the outcomes that you'd like to have by next year. Okay. So number number it 2, 3, 4, 5 according to alignment and impact. Okay. Any questions so far at this point? Good afternoon, Bahagya. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Just we complete to draft our outcome.
Yes,
So,
okay.
so there are 5 outcomes. So according to outcomes, so what we are going to do?
Okay. So first, the 5 outcomes, right? We'll go to the goals part later. The 5 outcomes. Out of those 5 outcomes, Shifan, which one is your needle mover? So let's have a little bit of sharing session. This is not, of course, if I don't want you to share something personal, that is all up to you. But if you'd like to clarify something with me, let me know. So among those 5 outcomes, what is your needle mover? Needle mover means if I give priority, my all for this first outcome, the rest will just, it will be easy for me to accomplish or have them. Out of your 5 outcomes, what is your needle mover, Shifan?
I priority establish income activities, extra income activities.
Okay, now there is nothing wrong with establishing extra income activities. Now you put extra income activities, it means more than one. Focus on just for that particular outcome that you'd like to have, what is that one extra income activity? Just focus on one. Is it to start a freelancing side hustle? Or is it to buy and sell on a commission basis? Is it to tutor online or to hold online classes, for example? Be very specific. Yeah, yes.
Established agri farming.
Okay, so I establish my agri farming for my additional income.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Good. So at least now it's more focused. What I want you to practice is focus. I meet so many people, they have a lot of potential, but they're distracted. And when you're distracted, where your energy, where your focus goes, that's where your energy will go. So you don't want to waste that energy because it's a currency that someday you will not be able to enjoy anymore. So, all right, good. So that would be your first, that if you prioritize working on that agri farming day in, day out, when you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing that you think of course, after praying, after having your breakfast or exercise, taking care of your family. But what I mean is, it will be part of who you are. Okay? That's what I mean by the needle mover. For me, my needle mover is my weight. So in the morning, if it's not raining, I'll go to the nearby jogging track. I will have my water. I'll make sure to at least get vitamin D, have 3,000, 4,000 steps. Regardless of my mood, my feelings, my emotions, I will prioritize that one. Unless there's an emergency. I can still do that in the lunchtime or afternoon, early evening. But it's because it's my needle mover, my focus is there. Okay, Shifan? So good. Now, among those, now you've determined your needle mover. What would be your numbers 2, 3, 4, 5 according to alignment and impact? So which ones you will prioritize a second, third, fourth, fifth, because it's aligned to the season of your life and it's aligned to your values. Right? Arujuna, what's your needle mover out of the 5?
Yes, exactly as you said, these days I am also focusing, go to gym and, becoming fit and reducing my weight sort of a thing. So that, as you said, beyond, physical aspects, I have found it is more psychology. Like, if you go to gym, keep ourselves fit and all self-confidence, then like, I can able to, do other things with lot of confidence. So
Yes.
that is my goal, like, to go to gym 6 months regularly and, to bring a change in my stamina, strength, physical appearance. Like I have to feel good seeing myself first.
All right, good. So for Arujuna, that's already established. So you just need to make sure that these 5 are with you. If you already have this habit of knowing, what results you'd like to have, you can have 6 or 7 outcomes. But if you're just starting out and you'd really like to work on this long term, this habit, then you can start with 5. What about you, Shanas? What's your needle mover? Your needle mover is that first outcome that you'd like to prioritize.
I want to complete my top-up degree in early child care and primary education. First of all, let me just tell you small, let me introduce about my background. I am a mother. I have 2 kids. My eldest is 4 years, and my youngest just turned 8 months. So before getting married, I was unable to actually achieve my dream. That is, I want to be qualified in some field. But I thought, even after getting married, even after having the child, having kids, still now I have taken up a firm decision that I want to see myself as who I always dreamt of. So I
Mm,
want to complete my degree. You know why I'm selecting pop-up? That is 1 year. And also, since AIB is giving us the opportunity of online learning, so I would take the opportunity, and I want to see myself as an educated mother for my kids. And also, I want to find a remote job, that is work from home job, so that I will be able to be physically with my children and help them um so that I will not have to find a job out, that I don't have to keep my children home, and I don't want to step out of my house with the guilt of not being physically present, so that I will
mm,
know that my children are safe. That's
yes.
safety thing. And also I need financial stability in order to spend for my education, and also like my daughter will be 5 years next year. So then
Oh,
I have to find a school. For that also I need her to give her the best of education. For that I
oh,
need to have a job and also complete my degree, also giving my children the best.
okay. These are all wonderful aspirations. And I want to see um I I appreciate those people who, despite shortcomings or what happened in the past, they still move forward. So now you forget about the lack that what you had before. So you just focus on the possibility so that they don't hold you back. So first, Miss, this whole year, okay, at the end of 2025, I will have completed my top-up degree. So your top-up degree is just 1 year, right? So you'll be able to complete it.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And what is your specialization? Did you already enroll, register, or you're just thinking about it?
No, I also spoke to my student council about it, and then she gave me all the details regarding it. I am stepping back a little because of the financial. I have to arrange the finance, and then they said they will start the course in December. So I am looking forward. I'm discussing with my husband as how I would do it. I would arrange finance, and I would enroll within this year. That is December. I
Okay.
would start.
Okay, good. So, whatever happens, regardless of any difficulties, you know that you will get up in the morning because why? This is your needle mover. This is what I want you to learn or your takeaway. I will focus only on my needle mover because when I focus on these, the rest of the other 4 will be moving. Okay, now the first step, the crucial step is the outcomes that you'd like to have. Sometimes when you ask people, what do you want to achieve by next year? They're stuck. They don't know. So if you don't even clearly know what you want, you cannot achieve it. So even the universe cannot help you, or all the gods will not be able to help you if you don't know what you want in life. At least for 1 year. Okay, that should be short. Now, the third step for all of the outcomes, okay, for all of the outcomes, I want you to draw a quadrant. You know, in mathematics, you have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So quadrant one is for the first quarter. So January, February, March. I want you to draw a quadrant. Just give me a moment. So like this. Like this, right? You have the first quadrant here, right? Second quadrant, the third, the fourth, okay? Some people, even I, used to do this. I would have my vision board and I will cut all clippings, images, pictures, and put it on the vision board and turn it into a collage. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Why? Because you don't have a timeline there. It's just for you to look at it maybe every day so you feel motivated and inspired and reminded of it. But it works better. Just try it out. So quarter one, that is January till March. Okay. Quadrant two, that's April, May, June. So right off the bat, when you see this, for example, put it beside you, like if you have a study table, if you want, you can print it out, put it in your wallet. You can save it as a wallpaper, put it on your phone. That's what I do, or in your laptop. So quarter one, January, Feb, March. Quarter two, April, May, June. Quarter three, July, August, September. And then quarter four, October, November, December. Okay. Out of the 5 outcomes, where do you want to have each one achieved, materialized, realized? So for me, for example, 53 kilos, I'd like to have it, I should be ready with my 53 kilos weight by quarter 3, and then I just want to maintain it by quarter 4. So I'll put here 53 kilos. Okay? And it's easy for me to know because when I print this, I put it in my laptop, my phone, I'm always reminded. In fact, I also put it in my Google Calendar. So later I will teach you all these things. Everything that you do on a daily basis, it should just be within those 5 outcomes. So 53 kilos, that's my quarter 3. Quarter 4, that's my Hong Kong, Macau trip. I'd like to have that by quarter 4. So that's Hong Kong, Macau. Now, quarter 1 itself, I already want to have my strong mindset. I want to have it by quarter 1 and sustain it up until the end of quarter 4. Why? Because last year, I practiced it. I started it. And I know that it's a long ball game. I cannot be mentally tough within just 1 year because every year would be different. Like 2025, the political landscape is different, in inflation, recession. So regardless, I want now that regardless of anything that happens externally, my mind is strong. My mindset is strong. Grow my brand, my business, my community. I will start that in quarter 1, span it until quarter 4. So I want you to prepare your 4 quadrants plot. Okay, by the end of quarter 4, I'd like to have my agri-farming setup. Okay, for example, that's one example. Okay, Shanaz, by quarter 4, I want to have my degree completed. Okay, so create your 4 quadrants. Jay Pereira, what's your needle mover? Sorry, I'm just calling randomly, but based on how your name appears on my screen.
So yes, it's more personal. So I want to achieve my personal goals, such as you said, in order to achieve my financial goals, first of all, I have to be physically, mentally, and as a social being, I have to be more educated. So I will focus on those goals mainly so that I will be able to achieve my second, third, and fourth and fifth goal.
Okay. Sorry, I know it's personal, but maybe I can help a little bit niche it down. So your needle mover is to be a little stable or a little strong in the financial aspect, funds aspect?
No, my main goal is to be strong in
Mentally.
terms of my mental status and physical
Hmm.
status
Okay.
and my social status.
Okay. All right. So good. And then your second.
So that will pave the way for me to be financially stable. So like I will keep the other goals in line with my main goal so
Mhm.
that I can
Good.
achieve those goals because in order to achieve the other goals, I think I have to be mentally, physically strong.
Okay. Right. All right. Good. So now, Miss, I find it difficult to imagine, like it's too vague for me when you say mentally strong. Now this is where the smart steps happen, right? So not in the outcome, but in the steps. So it's not really the goal that is smart, but the steps that you will take. So you have an outcome. Think of the ladder, the steps as your system. So with the outcome that you'd like to have, it's vague, but it's vague in the sense, like for me, 53 kilos. Now, what would that look like? That's just in my head. It's all in my envision. I don't know if somebody else will envision it in the same manner, but that is my 53 kilos, right? Because I know myself. So that for me is clear, but it may appear vague for others. How will it pan out systematically? You have to have the steps. So you have now the timeline. We have defined the timeline, right? So the quadrants. Let's define that even more. So out of those 4 quadrants, I want you now to create a timeline January till December 2025. So you have the 4 quadrants, and then I want you to stick, like it will stick into your brain, in your head. January, February, March. January, February, March, which months particularly? March. So next year, I I want to have a stronger community base. I want to be able to meet more people. I want people to know more about what I do. Now, January, end of next year, I want to print my learning kit and sell that because that will help me grow my community. So now I have a particular step for that outcome, and that will happen in January. This part here will take you along. I want you to really focus and take your time to do that now itself. So if Arjuna, for example, you'd like to have more muscles, January, which part? Arms? Like which ones do you want to be stronger? You want to have more glutes? Like January, okay, March, this is my focus. July, this would be my focus. So that like when you go to the gym, of course, you know what you want to achieve. That's within you. But at least you have it panned out. By January, this is just my focus. By March, this I will now move to this focus, right? So mentally, for example, Jay Pereira, I want to be strong mentally, miss. Now, that is so vague, right? How can we actually know if we're becoming stronger? Are you going to read books? Are you going to read books? What are those steps? And these books, when will they happen when you read it? Some people, like the coaches, they will advise you read 52 books per year. So 1 book per week. Now, is that doable? Maybe for some people, yes. But for me, honestly, I can only read, I like really read and absorb and digest and apply 3 books in a year. Solid. Like only those that I really need. Again, they are in line with the 5 outcomes. So nothing wrong if you read 52 books per year. But if you're not able to apply, what's the point? Right? So mentally strong, miss, I want to read a self-improvement book Specifically what? A productivity management book, miss. Specifically what? A mindset book, miss. Specifically, like which book and in which month are you going to read that? January, March. So steps 4 and 5, I want you to plot the timeline and then the steps. Write all the steps until you cannot write anymore. Okay? Until you cannot write anymore. So for example, for me, 53 kilos. In a week, my goal is an average of 4,000 steps. So there are days, because it's now raining in Sri Lanka, like I think the whole year it was raining. There are days when I would be able to accomplish 10,000 steps per day. And there are weeks when I'm only able to do 3 or 4 or 5 per day. So I can't really beat the 10,000, but I make sure that within the week, I have average 3,000. So if Monday, if I know that I can complete 10, I'll do 10,000. Maybe the following day, 12,000. Maybe Wednesday, I might not be able to do, but I will still do like 3,000. That's my minimum. So every day that goes on. Okay, so that's my step. That will happen January, February, March. Omit sugar slowly. So last year I started with not before I used to put 2 teaspoons of sugar in my coffee. This year, 1, sometimes there are days when it's just 1/2. It's hard. It's really hard. But I always tell myself that down the line, I want to be lighter. I want to be healthy. I don't want to catch diabetes, for example, because it runs in my family. Less rice. More like less rice. Is it like before I used to have like 2 cups? Now I only have 1 cup and I eat just once a day, like 1 full meal. The rest, if I'm craving for more energy, I'll replace it with potatoes or sometimes manioca, for example. Or I will load up more on proteins like broccoli or dal, just so I don't crave for sugar, for starch, for carbohydrates. So these are the steps. List down all the steps that you would need for all those 5 outcomes and plot them out in January. So if you have, ideally, if you can have, actually I prepared some materials because I thought we will all be meeting physically, but that's fine. If you have an A4 size, it will be better if you have it planned out. So January till December next year. Yes, we cannot predict what will happen next year, but if you have a plan as your basis, there is something to adjust. But if you don't have any basis at all, what will you adjust? Right? You don't want the whole year to be messed up. So the time now is 3:41. I'll give you like 10 minutes to complete the January till March till December, if you can. And then the steps. So mentally, how to be tough. For me, what helped was to read like specific books. Sometimes while I'm walking, I would listen to like clips that I download from YouTube. I like to listen to Louis Hose, if you know him. Sometimes I also like to listen to Jay Shetty. Sometimes some of their clips are cut on YouTube. Of course, they have to market that as well. Sometimes I get it on Spotify. So I try to hit 2 or 3 birds in one stone while I walk outside. I do my walking. I achieve my 10,000, 4,000 steps, and then I try to listen to something that would remind me for my mindset. Okay?
Small question.
Yes, Bahagya.
So we are to write all the steps for one goal from
One
January to
Yes.
December, or just all 3 to 5 goals?
All those 5 outcomes, write down the steps. So write down the steps first. And then once you're done with the steps, plot it. Okay, this one, miss, I'll do it January till March. This one is for July, August, September. This one is for October, November, December. So first is the steps. The steps first for all the outcomes. One outcome, list down all the steps. concrete steps.
I'm sorry, I missed the first 15 minutes. There was a technical error.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, for example, I have 4 goals
Mhm.
for next year. And then for each goal, for outcome, you want us to write the steps, is it?
Yes. To
All right.
achieve that outcome. Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
So this workshop is not really, of course, it's knowing your goals, but more than knowing your goals, it's really getting acquainted with the steps that you yourself plotted for you, not by someone else. So it's more of really having a ladder, having a system to achieve that outcome. So write down all the steps until you cannot write anymore. And I mean it, like exhaust the list. Later, you can filter it out. Miss, this is not doable for me. Why? It's not practical. It's not realistic. Okay, cross it out. But list down first all the potential steps that you will be taking. Don't overthink or don't filter for now. You can do that later. We'll do it together. $3.44. If you have questions, let me know. I might be able to maybe um, give an insight or give a suggestion on a step. Let's just say, for example, like Jay Pereira, how to be strong in terms of the social aspect. It's hard, when you have that as an outcome, because it's not just a one-time thing, it's not just a 1-year thing. Something that you will probably start this year and then you'll continue on um as the years come. How do you build your social self, your mental self, and then your emotional self, right? What are the steps that you will be taking for that? If you want to be financially stable, what are the steps that you will take? If you want to complete your degree, Shanaz, what are the steps that you will be taking? So exhaust all the steps, right? All the steps that you will be taking. Ramudi, do you have any questions? You joined a little bit late. If you have any questions, let me know, please. So we are now on the 5th step. So the first is to think of the 5 outcomes that you'd like to have by 2025 December. Okay? And then out of those 5 outcomes, what is your needle mover? No questions. Okay, great. maybe 10 more minutes for writing down the steps and then figuring out which month will it be best to start it or to have it.
Ma'am, I've written down my steps.
All right, good. So what about the others? Thank you, Shanaz. What about the others? I think for 5 outcomes, that's
Done.
okay, good. Right now, so you have your steps, right? I want you now to think of what kind of a person would be able to do all these steps? What kind of a person would be able to do all these steps for like the five? The steps for each of the five outcomes. So for example, for my outcome to have 53 kilos by the end of next year, the kind of person that I need to be disciplined. Okay, that's one. Like the person who can achieve this is someone with discipline. Okay, so I want you to write down, what do I need to become so that I can have it? What do I need to become so that I can have it? I can have this outcome. I can enjoy it. I learned this from Sadhguru. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a mystic. He's an Indian mystic. And he said that people have this the other way around. Like the instead of yes, you want to be able to have, right? But in order for you to enjoy, you must need to work on your be first. So be, and then your steps are your do, and then your have is your outcome. But we think of the have first in the beginning. But in terms of action, in terms of taking that massive action, we have to become first. So how, for example, a disciplined person is somebody who can achieve this. Okay. Somebody who can achieve a strong mindset is the person who can say no. Who is firm with her or his non-negotiables. Okay. You list that down also. Like, what kind of a person do I need to become in order to enjoy this kind of outcome? Because once you, this is according to him, and I've practiced it, once you focus on becoming, actually the haves, they're just a byproduct. They will come naturally. You have to work on becoming first. Now, what is it that you need to become in order to achieve outcome number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5?
Excuse me.
Yes, Arujuna?
Yeah, what did you say that? What are the steps, mentioned by Sadhguru?
It's be, do, have. So work on becoming first, but in your mind, you already know what you want to have.
Yeah,
But
be, do,
have.
have means?
Have, like to possess, to have.
Okay.
Yes. So be first, and then do what you need to do, and then the haves will just come because you already have them in your mind. You've pictured them already. So if you work on becoming that person who will be able to enjoy that, then you will be able to enjoy it. And I believe him because I see his life, and he seems to be a laid back, grounded person. And I think that's one of the criteria that I look into for someone that I'd like to believe in terms of achieving. So be, do, have. you may find that in all of your outcomes, there will be a commonality. Definitely. Like discipline. Somebody who's focused, somebody who knows or have self-respect. Then again, later we'll break it down. So it's more focused. What I want you to take away from all this, the Goal Getters workshop, is for you to be able to get something, you need to clarify what it is,
It's
the
16 hours.
parameters, and then be focused, like niche down and be more focused. Okay, done. Right. So now we have our outcomes. We determine the needle mover. We define the timeline per quarter. And then we listed down all the steps and plotted them into the timeline. And now you know, you have understood also and asked yourself, okay, what are the traits, qualities, characteristics that I need to work on so that I will be able to enjoy these 5 outcomes. Somebody who's like this will deserve to have this kind of outcome. Now, let's look into your routine. What is your routine on a daily basis? And how will you incorporate the steps? Remember the steps that you've listed down. How will you incorporate that in your routine? So weekly basis, how will your routine go like? Now, if you don't have a routine for now, you'll have to work on this. Right? It's very important to incorporate the goals or the steps into your routine. What are you going to do on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Like for me, I have a calendar of what I do every week. And believe it or not, even with my friends, I tell them, if you want to have a Zoom meeting, let's say we want to keep in touch base, send me a Google Calendar invite because it will alarm on my phone like a day before or sometimes 2 hours before, like in the morning. If it's not on my calendar, I'm sorry, I can't. Even my going out for coffee, tea, for example, or just to go out for myself, that is also in my calendar. Like I need to have a schedule because time is a currency, it's not something that you can take back. I say this now because I'm old, like I'm 40 and 20 years from now I'll be retiring. So I'm more careful with my time. I say this to all of you because you're still young, like you're younger. So do not waste your time. If you can have everything scheduled, now there's Google Calendar with the smartphones that we have, it's just so easy. So if it's not in your calendar, if it's not in the planner, maybe you can be flexible a little bit, but you know your non-negotiables. You know your focus, you know the outcomes that you want to have. So I suggest that you have an Excel. Like in the morning, for me, I'm very detailed, but it's up to you. So morning, what are you going to do? Afternoon, what are you going to do? Evening, what are you going to do? Around those 5 outcomes, around those steps. When are you going to include your reading time? For example, you want to be mentally tough. When are you going to do that. Is it going to be on a Sunday? Is it going to be on a Saturday? Right? There are, next year you can already plot. There are full moon Poya days. What do you plan to do on those days? If there are long weekends, but you can plan ahead of time, like for those things that are sure for next year. So this will be a long work, heavy work. We won't be able to do it within the 2 hours. But that would be an extension of this, meaning after this session is over, I want you to create an Excel. You can have a tab, like 12 sheets, 12 tabs from January till December. At least have a basis. Miss, I cannot complete this now because I'm not sure yet. It's fine, but plot it. At least morning, determine what's your waking up time. What's your closing time. So for me, as much as possible, I want to be asleep by 11. I don't want to entertain chats or emails. I'm not going to reply if it's beyond 11, whether that's a client, a friend, except my mother, father, my immediate family, because of the time zone and because of urgency. They're away from me. I live here in Sri Lanka, they're in the Philippines. So that is my non-negotiable. I will always reply and check if it's from them. But other than that, I keep it to 11. And that is something that you put in your parameters. Okay? So your routine. So put this in your number 6 step, and this will be your homework. So create an Excel of this. Have tabs January till December, and create the time flow. So 6 o'clock, okay, to 10 o'clock, 10 to 12, I'll go to the gym, for example, and then work, okay, like plot it. But make sure they are including the steps that you need to take to achieve the outcomes, the 5 outcomes, right? So that would be your number 6, incorporating it in a routine. Now, this routine will not be perfect, but in time, you will be able to refine a structure and then stick to that structure. That's why it's called a routine. Make sure that you stick to it with it for some time. Why? Because once you have a routine that's working, it's easier for you to build your habits. It's easier for you to build your habits. Okay? Right. Next, so you have your routine. The next step is create your startup ritual. In the beginning of the day, this is my startup ritual. Is it to drink water? Like for me, open the window, get some fresh air. Or, some people, they will check their emails right away. It's up to you. But make sure, again, they're within your 5 outcomes and steps. Create a startup ritual that is aligned with the 5 outcomes that you'd like to have. Is it to go out for a walk? Have 2,000 steps right away? Meditation? Are you going to do some meditation, like 5 minutes meditation? Are you going to do some stretching, exercise? So your startup ritual. Create your startup ritual. What is your startup ritual? Okay. That's step 7. If you notice, we went from something that's vague and big to now something smaller. So you funnel it down and make sure that you are focused. So you help yourself also to achieve the goals or have that outcome by funneling down. So work on your startup ritual. Next, step number 8 is your shutdown ritual. Okay. It took me a long time to have a shutdown ritual because I didn't know how to set boundaries before. I didn't know how to set boundaries. But now, I have my shutdown ritual. So I don't want any files cluttered in my desktop. That's a big no-no for me. At the end of the day, delete all the files, trash them. So my laptop desktop is clean. Emails, I don't leave anything unread and unreplied to. I'll make sure to reply to all the emails, and once they're done, I put the necessary label and then archive. So there is no unread messages in my inbox. Trash is also clean. Spam is clean. I don't leave any inboxes, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I also delete them because it helps me become mentally strong. When there's a clutter, for example, I find it difficult to concentrate or focus. That's what I got to know about my values. So it's now aligned. I align my shutdown ritual accordingly. My WhatsApp now is it's the most active platform for communication. And so sometimes I mute. Like there are groups that I mute because when I do deep work, for example, I'm working on my website, I'm writing a blog, I need to concentrate. I do deep work. So I put sometimes the groups on mute, and I only keep like the tabs that I need um on my laptop. The rest is like out. I'll listen to some frequency music for increasing the vibration. Sometimes some good feel good music for 4 hours of deep work. But I make sure that everything is deleted clear. I also don't like to keep pictures, like a lot of images or videos on my phone, because it will slow down my phone and then it will slow down my creativity, my efficiency. I don't store personal stuff on my laptop. Um, I don't only songs, but images, videos, they're not here. Everything is in the drive. So compartmentalize so that because if you don't have a shutdown ritual, make sure that the desk is also clear by the end of the day. Laundry, it's costly for the electricity, but every 2 days, laundry is done. So I don't want to do any laundry during the weekend because it eats up space in my head. Okay, so have a startup ritual and also have a shutdown ritual. Now, because it's a ritual, it will take some time to form. So build it up until you have it in your habit and it's part of your routine. Okay. Right. So the next is, I think we're finishing earlier than the estimated time because there are less students, but that's fine. The last is your weekly big three. So every week, we won't be able to do this now because you don't have your activities set up for next year. But I want you to have, this is called the weekly big three step. Every week, try to have three like big things, big tasks for you. Again, they have to be aligned with the outcomes that you'd like to enjoy by the end of the 2025. So what's your big three? What is the importance of having a weekly big three? Because you also get to celebrate. So celebrate your wins at the end of the week. If you want during payday, you can, treat yourself for things that you have done for the 4 weeks, right? If you're cutting on some costs, you might want to celebrate once, on a payday. Doesn't have to be on a weekly basis. And then acknowledge yourself. So every week, for me, what I do, the IG story, the IG stories, right? I put the things that I'm able to do as an IG story. Why? Because at the end of the day, in the evening, I can look back at what I did that day. And then when I go to the archives, I can look back at the week and then, oh, I accomplished this task. Oh, I managed to now overcome this hurdle. So it's there. It will be in your, for me, that works. I also use my feed, my Instagram feed as my dashboard for results. So when I see my dashboard, when I see my Instagram feed, I'm reminded like, oh, okay, that particular day I went to this place, or I attended this networking, or I conducted this workshop, or I set up a meeting with a client. Because it's visual for me, I can see it. My Instagram is not really for others. If people like, if people give a comment, fine. But it's really for my benefit. So I use my Instagram because it's there anyway. So why not use it? Why not benefit from it? I use it to remind myself of what I have accomplished. And then I get to celebrate my wins. Maybe for some people, it won't matter that much, that kind of a win. But for me, it matters to me. So I celebrate it. So your weekly big three, and then attach it to your celebration. So you celebrate your wins.
That, ma'am, weekly big three in a sense that we need to achieve some major three things in a week.
Yes.
Yeah, and to celebrate that.
Yes. Sometimes this weekly big three may come to you as a surprise from the last week, from the previous week.
Can
Last
you give some
week,
examples?
okay, sure.
For
Yes. Okay, for example, in my case, I am not really employed. I am a freelancer, so I have my mini agency. And I have one staff. So we do our prospecting email through cold email. So that is routine every day. Whether we get a reply or not, we have to do it. And then there are times when I just happen to know of someone from the groups that I belong to who needs help, who needs assistance, and I'm able to give freelance service. So if I have an additional prospect or client, that is part of my weekly big three. I need to at least if not close a potential, close a deal, close a relationship that I know in the next months I will be able to refer to, and probably close that deal. So that is my big three. That's like sometimes one of my big three. Next weekly big three for me is, let's say my target is 4 liters of water per day. If I'm able to achieve that, that's actually one of my big three for the week, because it's tough. I find it really tough, to be honest. But at the beginning of the week, I remind myself 4 liters every day, 4 liters every day. So if I'm able to achieve that for the week, that's a big for me. It's like a big win for me. Maybe for some people, no, 4 liters is nothing. But for me, it's a big thing. So for me, it's my big three. And another big three for me if I can have a quiet time, just like 10 minutes, maybe every day. Just for, sometimes I do coloring, sometimes journaling, or just be quiet. Because it's hard, especially when you're a freelancer, you're always in front of the laptop. It's hard to have a quiet time, in the sense like really free your mind. So that's one of my big three every week. Maybe like hit the gym, I don't know, 3 times a week. Maybe that would be a weekly big three for you. But maybe that's nothing for you anymore. Okay, let's do 4 or 5. I don't think you have to go to the gym every day anyway. But maybe hitting the gym 4 times a week, that's a big thing. Especially when you have other commitments. I have a friend, she's preparing for, she want to join a marathon, a full marathon next year. But she's been planning since 2022. And it's a mental struggle to go out, go to the gym, go for a run, monitor your progress, track. make sure you have enough stamina and the mental like stability. And still until now, she's doing all these things to prepare herself for the marathon next year. It's a mental game, you know, everything is a mental game. But if you have that weekly big three, then you can at least enjoy some victories, some win, and you can celebrate. Did I answer your question, Arujuna, somehow?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so far those are the important steps. And I want you to the takeaway that I'd like you to have is know and be sure of the outcome that you'd like to have, and then focus down on the steps and the timeline. That's very important. The steps, concrete steps that you can take, tangible steps that you can take, and then the timeline is very important, and creating a structure around the steps. Have a structure that really sticks, and then stick to it, and then don't forget to incorporate it in your life so that it's easy, it's efficient, and make sure that you celebrate your wins so that you don't feel frustrated or you don't feel like defeated. You have 365 days. So don't think that if you fail on the first day or on the the first month, that's it, it's done. You can always restart. Why? Because you have a plan. You have a system. Okay? I would have wanted this to be more interactive, like more fun, more sociable, I guess, if it was done physically, but we have that limitation. But I do hope that you got something out of this. It's not really a workshop because now it's online, but what I've shared with you, I hope you got something valuable out of it. And if you have any questions, I'll give you my email address, my work email address, and you can all send me an email here if you do have questions. It's snippetsofwonders@gmail.com. I'm not sure if I'm able to send that to all. No, because it's not my, let's just see. There you go. It's there. Okay. Do you have any questions, Jay Pereira, Arujuna, before we wrap up, before I say goodbye? No questions. Okay. So good luck, all the best, and I hope we all have.
Thank you. Before that, like the last step is weekly big three steps, right? That is the last
Yeah.
step in the process. So how
Yes,
many
correct.
steps altogether?
That's actually 9.
9 steps. Okay, then I noted down rightly. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I wish everyone a productive, um, happy, 2025. We still have a month to go to plan, but I hope you start so that you can have a good start for the next year. Thank you so much, and please do keep in touch. I am on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. And can we have your Instagram ID so that
Yeah, you can find me, my name, it's Maria Nerissa Veloso. It's a public account, so you can easily find it. So please do keep in touch, and if you have any questions, let me know. I can explain further or I can clarify. It's Maria Neriza Veloso. So that's the same for my LinkedIn. It's also the same for my Instagram.
Thank you so much. You have given very valuable insights throughout this session. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, and all the best to you, your endeavors, and your goals. If ever we meet somewhere, I don't know, in Colombo, hi, just say hi if you see me. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Okay, thank you so much.